Claude Anderson went on to the Breakfast Club, and he told Leonard McKelvey, who calls himself Charlemagne the God. Of course, I don't call any man the God, so I will refer to him as Leonard. He told Leonard that prior to the 60s, many blacks were focused on self-improvement and economic development, and they were not at all concerned about integrating with white folks.
Black folk had up 100 times more before social integration hit. See, I'm old enough to tell you all that. You're all not old enough to know that yet. Mm-hmm. We weren't looking for any social integration. You know why? Because we had our own businesses.
And that it wasn't until the Montgomery bus boycott that blacks began to shift their focus.
We don't kill our buses.
Right.
Social integration. When all of a sudden, you all start talking about Rosa Parks and Martin Luther King going down to Alabama, want to integrate the bus lines. Integrate whose bus lines? Blacks in Winston-Salem says, we want to ride on fronts of white buses. So we said, we don't have any white buses. They said, well, we'll get some so we can ride on the front of them.
To Leonard, and I'm sure also to a lot of his listeners who have the misfortune of being miseducated in our schools, what Dr. Anderson was saying seemed to be a novel idea, something that no one has ever thought of before.
I feel like a complete asshole because I never thought about that. Like that whole time they did the boycott, they should have been trying to establish their own bus company as opposed to wanting to ride. I never thought about that. Y'all boycotted for a year just to want to ride on the front?
See, you're a smart man.
I never thought about that.
In reality, not only was it thought of before, and blacks like Claude Anderson's family actually owned buses, the idea was actually pitched to Martin Luther King at the time by Reverend Joseph H. Jackson, who offered to buy black-owned buses for the blacks in Montgomery, but Martin Luther King turned him down and said, no, that wouldn't be wise. Reverend Jackson and his church still supported the boycott, going so far as to raise and donate $1,000 to the efforts, which equates to $11,000 in today's dollars. Jackson later realized that those involved in organizing the boycott were actually not being very honest at all, and that they were using the facade of integration to disrupt black business prospects in pursuit of a larger Marxist social order.
It seems to me that the civil rights movement must now begin to organize for the guaranteed annual income, begin to organize people all over our country and mobilize forces so that we can bring to the attention of our nation this need and this something which I believe will go a long, long way.
Claude Anderson went on to the Breakfast Club, and he told Leonard McKelvey, who calls himself Charlemagne the God. Of course, I don't call any man